KOMP 92.3, where Vegas rocks. It's Sylvia with the legendary Kerry King on the phone with me today. Thanks for coming on.
Vegas. I had no idea I was talking to Vegas. I just got this call in and didn't know who I was talking to, but Vegas, that's awesome.
Yeah. You're going to be in town, of course, with Municipal Waste and Alien Weaponry. House of Blues, February 22nd. What's it like coming back to Vegas? You stoked?
Cool. I finally sold my house there just like 3 months ago, so it'll be the first time coming back since I cleaned my place out.
Dang, so you're not a Vegas local anymore.
No, I will always have a part there. I still got my Raiders season seats, which I don't foresee selling in the near future unless they keep sucking.
Oh, yeah, I've heard. Yeah, we're super stoked to have you back. So, of course, we got a lot to get into, but first I want to get into your album, From Hell I Rise. You've had guest appearances on songs from Sum 41 and Beastie Boys, of course, your work in Slayer, but this is your debut solo album. What's it like getting to do your own music, having it out there for almost a year, and then, how long has it been in the making?
It's funny. One of the songs is the better part of it's probably 20 years old because I just never found the riffs to make it a song. It was always like a verse and a chorus, but I never had, say, for instance, an intro or an outro. So once I got the pieces together, it became a song, and its time was on From Hell I Rise, and that song's Residue. That song's been in my repertoire or in my phone full of riffs the last time Paul was in the band, so it's been around a long time. There's a couple songs that didn't go on Repentless that are on this, so those are from like 15. And there's a bunch of stuff I've written since Repentless came out, so it's all over the map.
When putting this project together, did you already have an idea of who you wanted to be a part of it? You're working with Paul Bostaff, we'll get into in a minute, Kyle, Mark, Phil. Did you already have this group of gentlemen in mind?
The only thing that I didn't really have my finger on the pulse was who was going to sing. Of course, Paul came with me. He's kind of like my security blanket. Been playing off and on for 3 decades now, Jesus.
Wow.
But yeah, Phil put his name in quite early on, and Kyle. All these guys were my first pick, so I never had to go to the B squad. I got all my number ones. But Mark, he would come down and do demos with me and Paul. Me and Paul were doing demos, and I would send them out to everybody. I even sent them out to Mark, even though he didn't have the gig, because I trusted him. I knew he wasn't going to, send him out anywhere, and I knew he really wanted the gig. So he worked with us probably off and on for 8 or 10 months, and every time he would come in, just make better versions of the demos that we already had or start singing new songs. And, when we got close to having all the material done, I just said, if you want this gig, it's yours. And he was all stoked. And so we began.
So it was just really easy for you.
Yeah. The only thing that was difficult was the pandemic, and limiting travel and limiting people getting around. So that set us back quite a while. And then after that, I drug my feet really hard because I didn't want to be one of the bands experimenting with new COVID rules. I wanted all that shit to get sorted out.
On the phone with me today is Kerry King. They're performing at the House of Blues on February 22nd. Does playing your own music in your own band give you just a sense of, a different sense of freedom or creative control?
Very limited, really, because, in Slayer, the last album's 95% mine, so it's a very similar situation. But, Tom could say, no, I'm not feeling this song for whatever reason, and then we'd have to work around it. And that's how a couple of songs became songs on From Hell I Rise. I'm like, this is a great song, and I'm just going to keep it.
You're like, yoink, that's mine.
Yeah, that's mine. And so that part of it, anybody in this band, if they got an issue with something or think it's not up to standard, I've got open ears. I'm not pulling the dictator move, and we're all friends here. That was my big number one. I wanted to have friends. I didn't want to have divas. I didn't want to have no drama. Just get up, do your gig, and have fun. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and you want to avoid drama because that's going to get in the way of creativity, and then just, what's the point, right?
Yeah, this band is slamming. Last night was definitely one of my top 2 shows of this run.
Awesome. So there's a song on the record called Two Fists, and you've said it's got an 80s punk influence, and you don't get to show that influence as often. So what drove you to bring that sound to the album? And did you have any bands or songs that inspired it, or is that one of the songs that you kind of had in your back pocket for a while?
No, that one got written during the pandemic. It's funny. That song spawned 2 other songs as I was trying to finish it because I wanted it, like you said, I wanted it to be like a 80s punk inspired song, so musically and lyrically. So when I wrote lyrics, I tried to think of how people say in the adolescence or DI would go about writing a song and phrasing they would use. And I've said, some of the lines in that song I never would have used in Slayer.
Yeah.
And there's really no rule that says that. It's just I wouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the context of this band, it sounds like part of the record. To me, it doesn't sound like it didn't belong there.
How much fun was it for you to write that song?
It's cool. Like I said, it inspired a couple songs because I kept coming up with riffs, and I'm like, no, it's too metal. It doesn't go with punk song. Where I Rain came out of that. Some of Crucifixation came out of that, and that's cool because it got me killer songs on the record, but it was just trickier to finish that one because it's not dead center down my alley, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different side to you.
Yeah, it's different thing that inspired me over my career.
What surprised you the most about making this record?
Probably, well, number one, working with Josh Holber, the producer, and all the guys in my band, we finished this record in 14 days, which is pretty unheard of.
Wow. That's insane.
That's like kids with their first record because they don't have any money trying to finish fast, Yeah. Me and Paul were so rehearsed on it. He finished his drums in like 5 days, and and we took a day off. So I guess we did it in 13 days. But, just the efficiency of everybody coming in and knowing their parts and owning it and just crushing it.
Or are you just like, oh man, this is great?
I knew it was going to go fast.
Yeah.
And my manager was like, you know how these things go. You're going to be in there weeks. I'm like, no way, dude. 2 weeks. That was it.
That's how just the chemistry, I guess, with all of you is just on top of it.
I can't wait for my friends in Vegas and my friends that I don't know in Vegas to come check it out because it's going to be awesome.
So you've said in an interview that you tolerate fame. Somebody's got to be that guy. What's tolerating fame look like for you?
I think probably, I don't know where I said that, but I think the thought on my mind was probably taking care of fans anytime I can because, the only reason I have any popularity is because people like my music. So to turn your back on people like that, I see it happen in sports. I see it happen in music, and I try not to be that guy.
So we're talking to Kerry King ahead of his show at House of Blues February 22nd, along with Municipal Waste and Alien Weaponry. How stoked are you to be working with Paul Bostaph again, and how does it compare working with him in Kerry King versus Slayer?
It's the same, definitely business as usual. We have he knows generally what I'm going to tell him I want the drums to be before I tell him. He's already thinking I know what he wants here, and, we just go on like that. But what I do is it's kind of epidemic for us, but what I'll do is I'll get my song finished, I'll record it out of an amp that's about as big as my boot, record it on my phone, send it off to Paul, and a couple days later I'll send him the drum chart. Say, for instance, 5 seconds in, you go to this drum beat, 38 seconds in, you go to this drum beat, this is a verse, that's a chorus, and within 5 minutes of getting together, we can get an actual demo that sounds like we've known it for weeks.
Wow. So you guys are attached at the hip almost.
We're really zoned in.
Yeah.
He knows what I want, and I know what he's capable of.
That's great. So working with Paul for so many years, we can see, the consistency and loyalty, which we were talking about the Raiders a little bit ago. You have a loyalty to the Raiders. How did your love for the team start?
I don't know, because I didn't live in Oakland. I was a Southern Cal kid. I was in L.A., but
yeah.
I guess I liked the bad boys that the Raiders were back then. You can see them visibly hungover and smoking on the sidelines back when that was okay.
You're that's freaking badass.
I love these guys. And then they came to L.A., and I lived there, and I loved that. They went back to Oakland. I didn't care because that's where they belonged.
Yeah.
And they went to Vegas. They followed me there. I like that.
So that's what I was going to ask. So there has been some controversy when a team comes to Vegas, mainly fans in California. I mean, they aren't too happy. So you were just fine that they came to Vegas because you already lived here at the time.
I did, yeah. And my place was 2 miles from the Allegiant Stadium.
Oh, that's perfect. So you're still going to be a regular at Allegiant Stadium, regardless.
I only got to 2 games this year for whatever reason, but I only missed one every season before that.
Dang, so you are hardcore.
Yeah. I got seats on the 50. I got a great lounge to go to there, so it's a good time.
Have you been able to meet the players?
I know Fred Bolitnikoff from his Oakland days because I used to, when I would go to the Oakland games, I'd call the VIP lady, and she would get me in, basically the suite for whoever's singing the national anthem. That happened to be Bolitnikoff's suite, so I knew him and his wife. He's an old schooler, of course, but one of my favorites nonetheless.
Speaking of sports entertainment. You created a song for WWE superstar Damian Priest. I'm actually a big WWE fan. So how did that come about? Like, are you a fan or did you become a fan after?
No, I was a fan. I was a fan in the Stone Cold era. So
Sure,
when Stone
yep.
Cold, Triple H, The Rock was coming up.
Yeah.
Back then when it was more street,
Attitude
it was
era.
it was more adult. It wasn't just for the kids, and it kind of became that after that. So I didn't get out of it. If it'd come on, I'd watch it here and there, but I wasn't a rabid fan like I was. Like I went to WrestleMania 2000. That's how crazy I was. Oh, and I know WrestleMania's coming there again
I
this
was
year.
going to say they are coming to Vegas. So are we going to see
I know
Kerry
that
King?
because I worked with them on this. But, when this came up, since I wasn't that inclined to know who's who and who's big, I hit up one of my friends who's very much into it, and I said, hey, Damian Priest, should I be connected to hip with this guy? And he told me that, that was a good formula. So I'm like, cool, we're in.
So when actually creating this song, did you watch some of his matches to get an idea?
I didn't create it.
Oh, you didn't create it?
No, it existed. And when I went in and redid it, They rearranged it a bit. So the arrangement was different than people were used to, but it was the same stuff.
Oh, okay. But did you watch some of his matches to kind of get an idea of Damian Priest?
Yeah, I checked it out, for my own, seeing it with my own eyes kind of thing.
Yeah.
I watched some stuff.
Before I let you go, going back to creating From Hell I Rise, what's been the most rewarding part of creating this album?
Getting it done, people having enough time to stomach it, and singing the lyrics back to us.
It's been about close to a year, right?
Yeah, it'll be a year in May.
How's it feel like hearing the fans sing it back to you?
Well, I always expect it out of the diehard metal dudes, but the best thing is seeing a girl stand right in front singing the lyrics at Mark like she wrote them.
That's always awesome. That's always awesome. After this tour, and now that you have a solo album under your belt, does this make you want to explore another solo album? Maybe in the future, a year or two?
Oh, not even a year or two.
Oh, okay.
Why are you dragging your feet?
I work so slow.
Me and Paul got 10, 12 songs demoed already. I just got to get off my butt and write lyrics for them.
Dang. Okay, so we can expect
none of us are young, We want to keep going. We want the machine to roll. We don't want 5-year gaps. Like, as soon as album one cycle is done, which looks like it's going to be, I don't know, September maybe, we want to jump into rehearsal or jump right into the studio and take the momentum of the tour so we can have another 2-week recording cycle,
And then you'll be done in like a week recording that album.
And then, then get that to the record company. When that comes out, start record cycle 2. You'll see us again.
Okay. So am I predicting maybe early next year? Maybe.
That's a realistic goal, and I want to achieve that for sure.
Okay. So we can say that this is like an exclusive.
Well, I haven't kept that hidden, but that might be the first time I've said it.
Awesome. Well, Kerry King is performing February 22nd at the House of Blues along with Municipal Waste and Alien Weaponry. Appreciate you so much for talking to me, Kerry, and we'll see you at the House of Blues soon.
Very cool. Say hello.